Well, I really didn't get a good job at putting some focus into videotaping yesterday when I was out here with a friend. I'll put a little snippet in. But we actually accomplished getting quite a bit of the Cadillac taken care of. I think my parts are supposed to be here from Texas Speed roughly in, what's tomorrow, the 3rd, the 4th maybe of May. And this all started, I think, or about last week. So if I'm able to go ahead and get this thing down to where I just need to reassemble, I think I will be on good track to get it back up and going hopefully next week. I still need to order from Mail Order Tune, who Texas Speed recommended, and from their website they do all their Texas Speed tuning. Looked at some reviews, good stuff on that. I don't see anything reason why I shouldn't do them. I'm gonna go with their more expensive option, which is getting the cable, so that way I can just do it here, download what I have on my Escalade right now, send it to him, tell him what I've done, and then he sends it back to me. I load it. Ideally, everything goes well. And if it doesn't, then he can go ahead and adjust it and send it back to me again, and I should be good to go. If I didn't do the more expensive option, which is getting a cable and I think a program, I would have to take my computer out, send it to him, wait for him to do whatever he needs to do with it, mail it back to me, wait for that, and hope everything's fine. And if it's not, then take it back out, mail it to him, and then try again. I think the latter option is a little bit better, so that way we can go ahead and do some drive time, and he can see things and go from there. I want to touch base on a couple of key things that I learned that I did not know, because maybe I didn't research well enough, maybe it's just not that well broadcasted enough. The driver's side head, the first bolt you run into is this unit, which I honestly kind of thought when I first saw it, there's a socket in there. Why? Who's been in here? And it's actually a hex head. It's actually a 13 millimeter, and the head bolts are 15 millimeters, or millimeter. And we got them all off without too much trouble. Nothing gave us a hard time. I was actually really impressed that the 13 millimeter exhaust manifold bolts came right out without too much hardship. Same thing with the exhaust shield on the header on the driver's side. There just wasn't enough room to kind of move that header over to get the head out. So we took that off. Those bolts came out fine. And I'm going to swing you around here after I take off the covers of the engine that I put on there to keep dust out. Although I don't think it's really much of a problem because it's rainy. It's not that nice out here in Iowa. So this is what you have after you remove a head and the valley pan assembly. So if you notice here, we have pretty much what we'd expect. Some of the marks you see on there is because we touched it. Some of them are not. If you look on cylinder number 5 above that white connector, I'll zoom in, and I was kind of concerned that that was actual damage, but I think it's just washed down. I don't think there's much of anything going on there, and that would be from the intake valve. That one over there, I'm not quite sure what's going on, but there's, again, the reason why I'm deleting this system is so that way I have proper movement in regards to my valves versus cam versus engine. It looks very clean. It has 7,000 miles on it. Today I'm going to go ahead and get after removing this head, and depending on how far I get with that, I might start tackling the timing cover assembly, which looks not fun. I'm going to have to take off that pulley, which I think is for the airbag system, and then work on here. Also, fun note, if you don't know, regarding the air conditioning belt and this belt here, the belts are what they call stretch. You put them on, I don't know. Anyway, they get stretched on, and you go ahead and you put it on the AC, you wrap it around the back of this, you crank this over by hand, and you wedge the belt on there. And then the same thing goes for over here. You put it on back there. and you just slip it on there. There is no tensioner. It is what it is. So those are going to get replaced because we're here, and that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to bring you over to the rockers. I haven't noticed anything out of the norm with these guys. They look like something I could reuse. I'm just not going to. You know, yeah, this one's up, but he goes down. So there's all those. My push rods, they all seem fine. I didn't notice any issues with those. They all seem straight. And these are in accordance with being cylinder 1, 3, 5, and what comes out 6, 7. And then lastly, roll over here to the Dulip table here. And this is the cylinder that was not happy, that I could tell. So there's that going on. This scratch here is because, again, we kind of unfortunately laid it down a little bit. So hopefully we're okay there. And this cylinder is relatively clean as well. So these back two cylinders, you know, as far as I can tell, have, you know, the last cylinder has this activation crap. I don't know. Works good when it works. I don't know how to test to see if it's bad or good. I guess I could try to take it apart. I don't know or care. So that's out. I'm going to get the front set out and put those over here. And get that taken care of. And now that the head's out, I can kind of show you what we had going on a little bit better, which was this guy. So we're not supposed to be able to move the exhaust valve. Oh, not supposed to be able to move the exhaust valve with this much ease. And I'm hopeful there's no damage to the seat, because if there is, that's a different problem that I don't want to deal with. But the best I can do is look at it and make sure it's not scored. It seems to seat well. But all of the rest of the valves seem to be seating the way they need to. So I don't have any concerns in regards to the rest of the cylinder head. Another fun point was my fuel system, as being this unit here. I've never seen anything like it. Imagine fuel comes in here, goes to there, gets distributed from there, and goes through the spider. That's, well, part of the pieces are still over there. It's not a spider. It basically goes to a union and then swivels over to this guy and then swivels over to this guy. And here we have all of my injectors. They look fine. I don't have a reason to think they're bad. I do have some work to do on the passenger side to see why all my gaskets for down here are gone. I'll probably look at replacing on those. The next thing, the water pump housing, assembly, whatever you want to call it, this thing is ridiculous. But once you get it all taken off, it seems like, okay, that makes sense, easy enough. But this bracket here, he goes over right here. So when he's assembled, let's see if I can do this one-armed. He's assembled, he's like so. And in order to get this off, you need to take off a stud that's on the lower end of the engine that holds the AC on. And we used a 5mm. You should probably use an inverted Torx. I'm not quite sure I'm going to get that off there. It really wasn't on there that hard, so that made it nice. So that's how that kind of came out. So I went ahead and took this off, moved the AC compressor over, was able to remove this and or lift up in conjunction, wiggle it out of there. That came out. So that's the AC bracket removal. Once you get this whole entire unit off, you're left with this, and underneath this is this. So that kind of works out as it does. It turns out you don't need to remove the top cover. So that was done in vain, unfortunately. And I'm kind of debating about whether or not I want to put it back on or not. It does make the engine look pretty, I suppose. So there's that. Kind of a bit of talking. You know, and like I said, maybe you can find a video about it that's a little bit better, more in depth, tells you how to do things. It's pretty straightforward-ish. except for the couple little hiccups that I had that I showed you. A lot of connectors. I mean, the nice thing about them is they generally only go in one spot. It was a little rough taking out the injectors assembly. So I went ahead and did some nice little prying, on things and kind of weaseled them out, and they came out just fine. Nothing got bent, which is a plus, because you gotta worry about that. So as I said, I'm gonna get after this head over here this evening, and hopefully I can get out of the way the exhaust manifold and take off the head. There's 20 bolts there, or no, sorry. There's 10 bolts here, 10 in the rocker area, 5 in the rocker valve area, and then 5 underneath the head, or header. So I'm gonna get after that, and hopefully, someone finds this and, says, hey, this is informative. Or maybe you just wanna be looking at it and see, what all goes on inside of a Cadillac engine bay area. And I also noticed that I do have a leak, so that's going to get fixed, which is great. I also found that my transmission lines, which are going to be these two guys right here, they are leaking, so I'm going to get those replaced while we're here. Because having a leaky Cadillac is not what you want to have going on. And that should really do it for the repairs. Now also, I learned that the crankshaft bolt that holds on the harmonic balancer is torque to yield, so I'm going to take that off, throw it away. That should be fun to take off. I got a pulley or puller somewhere around here, but hopefully that comes off without a hitch. And then I'm going to move with the timing cover, and I'm thinking I have to go from below somehow, some way to get the bolts that go up from the oil pan into the timing cover off, which will be challenging, I guarantee it. So I really don't have a way to have y'all watch and me do work. I mean, I do, it's not here. And even if it was here, it's just gonna be me hitting life, trying to take stuff off. So the next tidbit will be, hopefully, that's off. So bear with me. Well, I went ahead and just got done getting the head off. Wasn't that bad. Got some better tools, swinging around here. Sorry about the rain, I can't help it. I have a tin roof. It's lightly insulated, but not at all. So, there we are. We are out. I need to do some cleanup of the surfaces and take care of all of that cleanliness. There wasn't anything special on this side except for that back head bolt in the back corner. That was a pain in the butt. I got pretty crafty. When a guy can't find a way to go ahead and get a 3/8 socket wrench to go ahead and work out too well, he grabs the longest bar he can find and slips it on there. Helper outer. I think next time I'm going to get out here and I'm going to do some research about what I'm looking at as far as taking off that timing cover. I do know that I need to bring home a socket of sorts to go ahead and get off the harmonic balancer. And then when that's taken off, get the lifters out of there that were not fancy lifters that came with the little deals there. And then once I get my stuff from Texas Speed, see what I need for gaskets. I imagine I'm probably going to need these guys, probably a timing cover gasket, maybe. They're giving me head gaskets, a valley pan gasket, so I'm not quite sure what else isn't or isn't, offered there. Or I could just look at what I ordered. Anyway, I'm getting pretty excited about getting this car taken care of. Pretty happy I got this far. I'll swing it around here as well to the head. You can notice here that this one looks a bit different than the other one. So this would be cylinder 8. That's 7. This is 6. That's 5. We have 4, 3, and 2, and 1. And for the most part, they seem to be relatively burning as they should. But you kind of notice that we got some cleansiness, here as in here, which is kind of weird. And I would have thought that would have been, those over here or these over here or whatever cases, but that's that side. So on this side we have 1 and 7 that do different things, and then we have 2 and 4 that turn off. I imagine you could probably look up on the internet and find that out yourself. I got to look in here, and these are the fancy valve or lifters, and I'm looking in like, why is the hole not there? We got the hole here, not so much there, or there, or there, or there, or there. Oh, that one's lined up, and that one's not. I'm not too sure if that's supposed to be lined up or if it rotates. I really don't know. I'm not really the best guy to go for knowledge. I'm not a Cadillac or a specialist in this. I'm just trying to do my job to go ahead and get my Cadillac back on the road, because it's just an engine at the end of the day. That's my theory on it. It's got a bit more going on than I've dealt with in the past, but for me, having about $1,500 in parts through Texas Speed and about $800 for a tune, software, and a wire, I'm going to have help for the tuning, so I'm not doing that myself. I'll probably be into this a little, probably $3,000. That's doing a lot of it myself. You know, it's new coolant, new oil, new belts that I haven't priced out yet, because I'm just going to do those because I'm there, and new transmission lines because they're leaking. And I can't really put that on the bill for this repair, but it just makes sense to do it. You know, if you're in here and you got anything taken off to have access to these lower belts down here, you know, it would just make sense to go ahead and do them now. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to collect myself, get cleaned up a little bit here, take some tools back with me back to work. I work on tractors and combines and stuff like that. Not this small stuff, and even then I wouldn't call myself great. But goodbye. So, till next time, appreciate you guys tuning in. Maybe it helps you all out. Maybe it doesn't. If you got questions, put them in the comments. Subscribe so you can see the finished product. And, you know, maybe if I win the lottery, I'll supercharge this. That seems fun. That seems like a lot of fun. But right now, I just need to get it back to working. So, close out this rainy day. I have both heads off. It's a good day. All right, continuing to get after it. Did some Googling, and I looked up to see what size I needed for the crankshaft bolts. Turns out it needs to have a 15/16 on it. It is standard thread, which means it needs to be loosened counterclockwise. So I am going to get after removing this, and then it appears that I need to take off the air pump for the airbag system, or at least get it out of the way, and then tackle the timing cover, which looks pretty involved. Bunch of sensors on it, and like I said, I had a leak there, which will be resolved. I also am ordering up these transmission lines because they don't look happy. Get those taken care of while we're here, because again, far easier now to do it than what it will be later. So with that, hopefully the next little adjournment will be getting that pulley off. I didn't bring a puller. I wonder if my snap-on kit will have something I can use. Guess we'll find out. Was not expecting that. I don't know the torque specs right now for what the crankshaft bolt or harmonic balancer crankshaft bolt gets tightened down to. But I constantly at work, I work on combines, and I take off 1,000-pound or 1,000-foot-pound lug bolts off combine wheels with the Milwaukee half-inch impact. Didn't touch it. I rattled on it, and to no avail, it didn't move. Looked on the internet some more, made sure I'm going the right way, because it seems a little unlikely that would be the case, but it definitely was the case. So I'm going to swing it around here and show you what I did on the Cadillac Escalade. Some other people had some different methods. Here's mine. Hope my balance is okay. It should be all right. So I slid a fancy Craftsman long breaker bar through the bottom of that. and there's 3 slots. I'll show you that here in a minute. Through there to where the slot caught, over here to my frame, where I'm not going to cause any damage. There was a fellow that had a video, his AC pump was still there, and he had a bracket there, he's able to go against that. I don't have that option, and I'm definitely not going against my block. So it's free now. There was a lot of force. This bar here, I think it's probably, what, 2 foot plus? Coupled with a snap-on 1/2 inch longer ratchet here. And I had to put quite the force on it to get it to come loose. Took care to make sure I didn't go flying, and take care to make sure that I didn't hit anything in this region, because I don't want to pay for that either. And there's how she was. Kind of see the slot deal. So again, at 15/16, you want to use a 6-point socket, because you definitely don't want this guy slipping off. Yeah, once he's come loose, he just wants to come on right on out of there. Oh, that looks fancy. What is this, coolant? Yeah, that's great. Hopefully that's supposed to happen. Probably should drain the oil out of this thing. I don't know. Yeah, so these are torque to yield. They get used one time and you're done. And there's the crankshaft. So now my next objective is to get the crankshaft or harmonic bouncer off, and then get the timing cover off. Well, I'm going to close up this video basically because I don't have the harmonic balancer puller. Nothing that I have that I trust will take this harmonic balancer off. You actually need to have a different one than what I have available to me in my shop. And I'll show you why. Flip you around here. I don't have a puller here that will grab the back end of the pulley there in order to forcefully bring it off. I think I may or may not get busy removing the air pump. That way that's out the way for the timing cover. But outside of that, I have to call it a day and order up a tool. And then I have to order up another tool to reinstall it, because I want to make sure that's done properly as well. So without further ado, I think I'm going to call it a night. Maybe. I'm just kind of overwhelmed with the process of what I don't have, what I need, what I don't know, because I've never done this before. I've been doing a lot of YouTubing and a lot of research on the internet, forums and stuff like that. And there's a lot of information out there. The negative thing is nobody has a video through and through of doing this delete on a Cadillac Escalade. I guess it's just not done, not something that folks with Cadillac Escalades do. So I'm going to go ahead and try to compile a video. It's probably going to be lengthy and it's going to be terrible, probably. But I'll try to do snippets and probably do an overview of it. I don't know. But what I can tell you is anything on this Cadillac Escalade is not the easiest thing to be doing. Because I'm just actually eyeballing right now this pump, and I'll show you. So this here gives me air from my airbags. It turns, produces air, and does whatever electronic crap it needs to do to give me a soft or firmer ride. And I don't even know how it's really bolted on there. I can kind of see a couple bolts looking around, but I think I'm just going to call it. And come back out here when I have the tooling that I need. That's bright. To get that off. And then proceed to take off that. So probably going to have to wait a couple days. Great.